Hey everybody, it's Mr. Haskell, and I'm back with more things you should know just by being alive. And today, I want to talk to you about this gentleman right here, Daniel Shays. Daniel Shays was a Revolutionary War veteran who went from fighting the British to leading a rebellion against the government that he helped create. He was born in Massachusetts in 1747. And he was a farmer and a soldier. He served bravely in the Continental Army, including at the Battle of Bunker Hill and at Saratoga. Eventually, he was recognized for his bravery and his service when the Marquis de Lafayette presented him with his sidearm as a sword of honor. But after the war is where Daniel Shays really earns his notoriety. The war is over, and it's time to go home. There are no land grants, there's no pay, there's no help. And like many veterans, he returned home deeply in debt. In post-war Massachusetts, things were quite bleak. The economy was a mess, taxes were high, and if you couldn't pay, the government would take your land, or it could throw you in jail. And remember, these were the same people who just fought a war over taxation without representation, So, in 1786, the men in Daniel Shays' part of the state, and Shays himself had enough. He actually had to sell the sidearm that the Marquis de Lafayette had given him. He sold it just to try and preserve the family farm. So he became the leader, one of the leaders, of what's now known as Shays' Rebellion. This is where we saw thousands of frustrated farmers and veterans who eventually organized protests and then will take up arms to stop the courts from foreclosing on their properties. They went around Massachusetts, especially western Massachusetts, shutting down courthouses, and eventually they will march on the arsenal in Springfield, Massachusetts. Now, the Massachusetts militia, which were largely funded by more of the wealthy elites in the state, eventually put down Shays' Rebellion. Daniel Shays and others had to flee or face arrest. Those who were arrested were faced with death sentences, though later on most of them were pardoned. But there was a pretty loud and clear message as a result of the rebellion. The message was the form of government that was in place, the Articles of Confederation, just weren't working. The Articles of Confederation was weak. Shays' rebellion just exposed how weak the government of the Confederation was. It was unable to regulate trade. It was unable to bring in taxes to fund the government. It had difficulty responding to domestic issues. And some of the elites and the leaders of the new country after the revolution were terrified. George Washington and Alexander Hamilton were quite concerned. The Shays' Rebellion kicks off several meetings that take place. There was troubles in Virginia and Maryland that resulted in a meeting at Washington's home at Mount Vernon, which grew to a convention in Annapolis. 5 states attended the Annapolis Convention, and it was decided that they needed to revisit and revise the Articles of Confederation, and that would lead to a meeting in Philadelphia. Well, that helped spark the Constitutional Convention. That meeting in Philadelphia will turn into, let's not revise the Articles, let's start with a different form of government. And that all took place in 1787. So, in short, Daniel Shays' rebellion helped give us the U.S. Constitution. Daniel Shays never became rich or powerful. He lived quietly after receiving his pardon after the rebellion. He was eventually granted a pension from the government as well for his service. But his actions echoed through American history, and they remind us that when a government fails to serve its people, when the government fails the social contract, the people must push back. They have the right to alter or abolish it. So, if you liked what you've seen today, and if you've learned something new, please like, follow me, share the video, I'll be happy to come up with more things that your history teachers may have skipped or forgotten, and I'll be happy to share them with you. But thanks for watching.